Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. It has been super, super busy, so thank you for your patience and hanging in there. We have had a lot of viewer questions and inquiries coming in, especially during this lockdown quarantine period of this pandemic. So thank you for hanging in there and your patience. It's a great time and opportunity to really get some things right. Learn some lessons, kind of get back on the right track. Refresh yourself and reset. It can become easy or it can become more difficult during this time. So you decide. Either way, don't worry about it. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question that has come in actually from a lot of viewers. And that is, how do you sort of get back on your feet? And just sort of get out of that sort of paranoia or or suspicion that arises even out of the most simple situations or simple questions. In other words, everything is just sort of in a constant trigger state for you. And how do you sort of work through this successfully? And I would say gracefully is to understand the physiology. Really the physiology, the kinesthesiology, what your body is going through. Realize if you are going through a relationship with a narcissist, a covert narcissist, a malignant narcissist, or a psychopath, depending on the spectrum and severity, closeness, and duration in your life, you are going to be set up as a supply, which means oftentimes someone to prop up or support or promulgate their mission, their drive, what they want. You're going to be like a shoulder for them to cry on, not in just a friendly way, or, someone to bring in. It becomes maladaptive. It becomes dysfunctional. It becomes toxic. It becomes malignant. It becomes pathological. Even though these people are apparently, healthy, holding a job, not holding a job, whatever age, it's to understand that there can be pathology in relationships. So once you understand the severity and the reality, the realness, and the personal experience that you own and that you can validate through kind of going through everything that you've been through, you have to understand that there will be a depletion or just sort of a loss of life or vitality or happiness. You can go through a real funk, a real sort of mental exhaustion, a real sort of listlessness, or just really sort of pervasive anger that becomes very unproductive. It can be, it can make things feel very futile. You can have the furnace burning within or without, just sort of the emotional furnace. As a result, and so you have to be able to really identify if this is you and where you are truly at and embrace that. So if you're having what I would call like a valley moment, a come to terms moment, a kumbaya moment, or you might be having a kumbaya month, you really need to, you've come to a crossroads. You've come to a boiling point. You've come to a tipping point. The pain is great enough. In other words, like that's what is his name? The big, super tall, giant guy, Anthony, 6'7", the big guy out of California. I can't think of his name, but he always says, when the pain is great enough, then you will change. In other words, you've gotten to the point where you go, okay, I have got the message. Like, this is too much. We're at, this is the last straw. I can't deal with this anymore. You get thrown out. You get thrown out of the company, the family, the relationship, the house, the school, the workshop, the store, whatever it is. You find that you've got the short end of the stick. You're not happy. Things are not, going in the direction that you would like. And your identity, you have to be very careful, because part of the physiology of that sort of exhaustion or feeling that it's always been a struggle in the wrong direction, you have to understand that this is also part of a web of a manipulation tactic, which makes it so insidious to understand. And I know that this is sort of high level stuff, so you might need to, watch this a couple times and understand it personally for you, because there's a lot of sort of psychological concepts that I'm going to bring forth in the discussion that I think will help you and are certain integral to the part of the book that I'm working on. But I think you can get it and understand that when we then also circle back and then understand that the narcissist, the covert narcissist, malignant narcissist, and psychopath, they will exploit and use others. They will exploit and use others, meaning they will take advantage. They will not give them credit where credit is due. They might not give them pay where pay is due. They might not give them time or respect where time and respect is due. There is a taking advantage of. There is an exploitation. In other words, doing things to expose them to harm, danger, neglect, abusive or less than respectful and nurturing treatment. So knowing this, because it will weaken the other. It will make them weaker. It will make them less happy. It will make them, resort to and get caught up in a lot of defense mechanisms. In other words, throwing their life out of balance. You're on the phone way too much. You're, eating or drinking way too much. You're crying way too much. Sleeping or, staying awake way too much. Your physiology has been affected. So it's time to own that and then sort of realize that this also will affect not only your feel, but how you feel, how how you hold yourself, how you move your body. It'll cause you to stumble when, you shouldn't really stumble. It'll cause you to make stupid mistakes. Why did I just spill that? Why did I just rear end that? Why did I just drive over that curb? Like, I don't have it together. Like, you'll see physiological symptoms that will play out because of this anxiety and this sort of what our viewer also is asking. A number of viewers ask about this, but sort of a paranoia and suspicion. It's because you're now triggered. You're at that tipping point. You have, reached enough. You have accumulated enough experiences that your gut and your heart and your mind is maybe going haywire. You're stressed out. You're not able to think through things. You're becoming more impulsive. More impulsive meaning just bam, 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 or you're becoming very slowed down. It can be very different for each person. So it's to understand that to heal through this, you have to get to the physiology. You have to take the pressure off of yourself that is, coming from as a result of these relationships. It puts the other party, under a lot of pressure, a lot of undue burden, under a lot of stress. This can be then felt, stress is a physiological experience. It's your heartbeat being elevated. It's your blood pressure going up. It's your breathing becoming more shallow and tense. It's your feeling of intensity becoming more intense, but to a point oftentimes of discomfort. It's where you armor your body. You're clenching specific areas. And you're walking around with your shoulders like above your ears. You're on the phone and you are gripping all around. You might as well be doing squats because you're just, what they call armoring yourself. Pete Walker, in his book, From Surviving to Thriving, PTSD, is an awesome book. I would highly recommend those of you who are experiencing a lot of depletion and exhaustion, check out his work. Pete Walker, From Surviving to Thriving, Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Syndrome, otherwise known as complex PTSD. You will or might be exhibiting these experiences. It is very real. It is very serious. This is, becomes a medical, it can become a medical condition. Is the narcissist walking around with a medical condition, or are they, skipping through the tulips? Who is paying the price? You have to understand this from a common sense level and understand the toll that it's taking on you and take stock of that and own that and going, wow, this has caused me to feel, like, and to understand and know that your body has done that, by virtue of an automatic process, but then take that automatic process back and make it more under your control, under more your deliberation, under your more ability to find that little lever, rather than giving the lever to, to the outside, to the narcissist, to the chaos of the psychopath. Take the lever and turn it back. Everything, the power that they've given them. I mean, they might have a 2-foot lever on you right now, make you jump, make you turn, make you jump. I mean, if that's the situation, take it back. Realize that if you've gotten in that very reactive state, you're sort of too close to the fire. You're too much in the emotional boxing ring. You're too up against it. You need to back it up, because otherwise you need to be able to simmer it down and dial in the solution and take your power back. This is a process. This is not, but you can have dramatic and drastic shifts right away. Once you take the pressure off, there is no pressure on the ceiling unless you've got a paintbrush and you're painting the word pressure on your ceiling, or you're painting the word pressure on your refrigerator door, or wherever you're putting it. Begin to take that off, that this relationship causes, and just take that off, and realize that, and then just say, back it up and just say, no, thank you. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, don't want mental exhausted to be on my forehead, because it will cause a a sort of derision or erosion of your I am, what then becomes your identity over a period of time. So then people, after a long period of time, if they don't get a handle on this, they start to feel like their I am is, I am depressed, I am defeated, I am unlovable, I am failing. It becomes your identity. So you have to be very careful that the manipulation is designed to ultimately connect and corrode identity, disrupt identity, destroy identity of those people with whom they are using as supply, exploitating, taking advantage of, not giving them credit where credit is due, doing things behind their back, the smear campaign, the what you might call like the fake news, of relationships, where they misrepresent you, they misrepresent themselves, they lie and withhold information. They try to become the new media director of flow of information in your relationship, if you will. Just like they try to, cut out other people's viewpoints by not, being inclusive, by making you do the dirty work when they're unhappy. It's like they're shoveling off their unhappiness onto others, making you feel sourpuss, sour-faced like the bad guy or bad girl. And all of a sudden, if they come clean, if they were to change themselves or be exposed for being the narcissist, which ultimately becomes the other tipping point in the other direction when they are exposed for who they are. You've seen what's, underneath the rock. You've seen what's underneath the mask, and you've exposed them for who they are. Oftentimes, then you might have that kumbaya moment, but you have to be able to realize that and be able to accept that truth, which there might be a lot of process and a lot of, important things for you to grasp onto so you can become comfortable with that. There might be a payoff in living in a certain denial. This is my, favorite job. I can't believe someone here would do that. This is my family member. This is my spouse. This is my fiance. This is my child. So there's a lot of these other sort of labels that go in place and sort of block and are part of the expectation process that don't get fulfilled. It is very complex. So you have to realize that and get to the point of removing, that pressure of expectation from the role of this person, who they are in their life, and be willing to see them in a realistic sense, not the degraded, not the idealized, but being real. And oftentimes coming to a neutral and indifferent place where you're able to just sort of let them go and realize that their impact will reach so far, but your impact over yourself has to reach farther. And so you might need to go no contact. You might need to really work on yourself, and do some self-education. But realize that part of the manipulation is to disempower. So if you stay in that disempowered down state, you're basically taking the baton. I feel, people who've had their boundaries violated then are more susceptible to self-harm, self-injury, and cause their own selves physical harm or impairment. So be careful that you're not perpetuating that cycle of pressure, and that comes with the devalue and discard, and that sort of cut down stage where a narcissist will do that. They'll either give outright cut downs, criticism, judgment, showing that you're unimportant. You're in the car accident and, oh, what did you do to my car? They don't care anything about you. It's the old, you've just, water is boiled over and it's ruined their dinner, and you've burned and blistered your hand, and they're like, I can't believe you messed up the dinner. I mean, you've had a lot of hurt and betrayal where they've, mistaken you for an object and held object to more esteem than you a person. I mean, they're very objectifying. So this can be very demoralizing. Realize all of the above and back it off. Realizing that all these experiences, the cause that has created this effect is only that of manipulation to get you under their control or under their power. Don't let them win. Especially don't let them get you into that down state. Stop trying to figure them out. Instead, give yourself the health and vitality. If you're always, you have to, because otherwise you can become very imbalanced. It can become a chemical imbalance, a physical imbalance, all sorts of things can become disrupted. So you have to get yourself back to that homeostasis. And once you realize the realness to which your statement matters to you, and to realize that the narcissist is not going to be part of the closure. You're not always going to have a come to heart, shake hands, make amends, situation with a narcissist. You're going to have to do that within. The closure is going to have to come from within. So as you back it off and then retrain and reprogram and recondition, especially yourself physiologically, how you feel, realizing you are good enough. You don't need to enter that agitation zone. You need to back it off. It is not good for you. You're not going to get the answers. You're not going to get stronger. You're not going to be able to handle it better if you, continue on that whole stress. So you might need to work on really decompression, and then filling that inner well, filling that inner resource, as I say, filling the well, going on your recovery date, doing something completely different that is beneficial and of complete interest and sustenance for you. You might have, and we talk about this in other videos, so I'm not going to go into that here, but you have to realize that there is a physiology that you need to reprogram, recondition, and then rememorize and continue to coach for yourself, otherwise known as the cognitive tool of reframing and metacognition, which I'll go into in other videos to help you, but where you're able to sort of look at the relationship in a different way and approach the relationship in a different way so that you're not victimized. You're not, a target of this sort of energy vampirism. You need to really get that divine spark and that pep, and, a little bit of pep in your step back. And it might not just be immediate. It might take a bit of time, but that is where you want to focus on that resolve and detaching, detoxing, going no contact. The paranoia and the suspicion on just simple questions is because you are aware that there is something going on. I mean, that's just a whole nother video in and of itself. That's such a great question. Because your body knows what's best beyond your conscious mind. And that is the phenomenon. But for you to get those answers, you have to work at the level of the subconscious. So your subconscious can then bubble to the surface and give you your solutions. And you go, oh my God, that is exactly what I need to do. And you go, boom. And then you do it. It's like that John Mellencamp song, something about, it hit the road and it sent him flying. That whole, it just like wind is under your feet and it sets you flying. You know exactly what to do. You're inspired. You're doing the dream. All of a sudden, you're not stopping yourself. You're like, oh my God, this is what I'm meant to do. And all of a sudden, you get this breakthrough. Like the shell breaks open and you've got like Superman or Superwoman within. That's where we want to get. But I think we're going to go and address more of that question on your video because there's so much to that. Thank you for your questions. This is your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out, peace in, peace be with you, and have a beautiful day. You've got this.